In the winter of 1924, in a crumbling tenement building on Orchard Street, a woman named Maria made a choice that would seem insane to us today. She had 4 children crying from hunger, and exactly 3 cents in her pocket. She didn't buy bread. She didn't buy milk. She walked 3 miles in the snow to buy a single shriveled pig's trotter that the butcher was about to throw in the trash. What Maria did next is a secret that modern history has almost completely erased. She didn't just cook a meal, she performed an act of culinary alchemy. She took that discarded bone, some weeds her son pulled from a vacant lot, and a handful of dust-covered beans, and she created a feast so fragrant, so filling, and so emotionally powerful that her children grew up to be the architects of the American dream. We often talk about the greats of history, the generals, the presidents, the inventors. But today, we are talking about the real heroes who built this country. The women who fought a daily war against starvation in kitchens no bigger than a closet. These mothers held the secrets of a 2,000-year-old survival code brought from the ruins of the old world to the concrete jungles of the new. Tonight, we aren't just looking at old photos. We are stepping inside the secret kitchens of the 1920s to uncover the shocking, beautiful, and heartbreaking ways Italian immigrant mothers turned nothing into everything. If you think you know Italian food, prepare to be corrected. This is the raw, unpolished truth of the immigrant kitchen. Try to imagine the sensory overload. You've spent weeks in the dark, cramped hull of a ship. You smell salt, sweat, and fear. You step off at Ellis Island with nothing but a cardboard suitcase and a small pouch of seeds sewn into the hem of your skirt. You expected streets paved with gold. Instead, you found the Lower East Side, a place where 15 people lived in a 3-room apartment and the sun rarely touched the pavement. For the Italian mother, the kitchen was the only place she had power. But it wasn't a kitchen like yours. There was no refrigerator. There was no grocery run. There was only the daily hunt. This was the beginning of a 40-year era of the struggle, where every meal was a tactical maneuver. These women were the original scientists of nutrition, balancing calories against pennies with the precision of a diamond cutter. The first secret we must uncover is a concept called l'art dell'arrangiarsi, the art of making do. In 1925, meat was a once-a-year miracle for many. So, how did they survive? The mystery of the meatless meatball, pulpette di pain. Watch any modern cooking show, and they'll tell you meatballs are about the beef. To a 1920s mother, that was a lie. The real meatball of the tenement was made of 90% stale bread. But it wasn't just bread. It was bread soaked in the pot liquor of boiled vegetables, bound with a single egg shared between 20 meatballs, and seasoned with wild oregano. When fried in a tiny bit of lard, it didn't just taste like meat, it tasted like home. The sacredness of bread. In these kitchens, bread was not food, it was a deity. If a piece of bread fell on the floor, you picked it up and kissed it. You never, ever threw it away. If it was too hard to bite, it became panzanella. If it was crumbs, it became the poor man's Parmesan mutica. By toasting breadcrumbs with a drop of oil and some garlic, aglio, they created a salty, crunchy topping that mimicked the expensive cheese they couldn't afford. This was the first life hack, born out of pure necessity. As we sit here in our modern homes, with food delivered to our doors at the touch of a button, it's easy to look at these stories as just history. But look at your own hands. Maybe your grandmother had those same calluses. Maybe you remember a smell in her kitchen that you've never been able to find again. Before we move into the darkest winter of 1928, I want to ask you a favor. We are losing these stories. If your family has a survival recipe or a story of a mother who made something from nothing, please write it in the comments below. We read every single one. And if you want to make sure these immigrant heroes are never forgotten, hit the subscribe button. It tells the world that these stories still matter. The winter of 1928. 1928 brought a winter that tested the very soul of the Italian community. The ports were frozen. Work was scarce. This is when the secret kitchen became a war room. The stone soup reality. Have you ever heard the fable of stone soup? For many families, it wasn't a fable. Mothers would go to the market at 4 a.m. to pick up the leaves that had fallen off the cabbages, the scraps the vendors stepped on. They would wash them 7 times, boil them with a spent rind of Parmesan cheese, the hard, waxy part most people throw away, and create minestrone. That cheese rind, simmered for 6 hours, released a savory depth that tricked the body into thinking it was eating a steak. This wasn't just cooking, it was psychological warfare against despair. The Sunday sauce ritual, a weekly miracle. If the weekdays were a war, Sunday was the ceasefire. Even in 1928, when the walls were thin and the pockets were empty, the air in the tenement hallway changed on Sunday morning. It started at 5 a.m. This was the ritual of the Sunday sauce, or as some called it, the gravy. In these kitchens, the sauce wasn't just food, it was a status symbol. A mother might have spent the last 6 days eating nothing but onions and crusts, but on Sunday, she would find a way. She would buy the ugly cuts of meat, the neck bones, the skin, the parts no one else wanted. She would sear them until they were dark and caramelized, releasing every ounce of flavor into the tomato base. This sauce would simmer for 8, 10, 12 hours. Why? Because time was the only thing these women had in abundance. They used time to turn trash into triumph. The sound of that bubbling pot was the heartbeat of the family. When the children woke up to that smell, they forgot they were poor. They forgot their shoes had holes. For that one afternoon, sitting around a crowded table with 20 cousins, they were the richest people in New York. This was the secret kitchen's greatest trick, using a 10-cent bone and a day of patience to build a wall of love that no poverty could break through. But there was another secret, one hidden beneath the floorboards and behind coal bins. In the 1920s, America was dry, prohibition was the law of the land. But to an Italian immigrant, a meal without wine wasn't a meal, it was a tragedy. While the authorities were busy chasing gangsters in suits, the secret kitchens moved underground. Mothers and fathers would buy grapes for juice, legal under a loophole, and in the dead of night, the basement of the tenement would transform. The smell of fermenting grapes would mix with the smell of coal dust. They weren't making wine to get drunk, they were making it to survive. It was their medicine, their tradition, and their quiet rebellion. Every bottle of basement red was a middle finger to a government that told them their culture was illegal. They shared it in teacups so the neighbors wouldn't see. They taught their children that some traditions are worth more than the law. In those dark basements, they weren't just preserving grapes, they were preserving their identity. As we look back at the 1920s, it's easy to pity these women. We see the tired eyes, the stained aprons, and the crowded rooms. But they didn't want our pity. They wanted our survival. Every time you feel the urge to feed your family when you're stressed, every time you refuse to throw away a piece of bread, every time you feel that unexplainable need to gather everyone around a table, that is not you. That is them. That is Maria from 1924. That is the grandmother who turned dandelion weeds into a gourmet salad. Their secret kitchens didn't die in the 1930s. They moved. They moved into the suburbs, into the high-rises, and into the DNA of every person watching this video. We are the dream they were cooking for when they had nothing. They suffered through the cold winters and the meatless months so that we would never have to know the weight of a 3-cent choice. The kitchens of today are bright, modern, and full of gadgets. But they lack the one ingredient those 1920s mothers had in every pot: necessity. Today, I challenge you. Don't just watch this. Go into your kitchen. Cook something slow. Smell the garlic. And for one moment, say thank you to the women who turned a shriveled bone into a legacy that will last forever. History isn't just in books, it's on your plate. If you believe these stories of our ancestors deserve to be told, please share this video with someone you love. Subscribe to Great American Nostalgia to help us keep these memories from fading into the shadows of time. We'll see you in the next chapter of our past. Keep remembering.